Creating art makes me feel meditative.
Content, satisfied,
Happy. For me, I saw Exit Through the Gift Shop in about 2006, 2007, and it was the first time that I realised that art could be punk and you could do it yourself, and it wasn't just for the special unicorns that have been gifted immense talent in this particular area of the arts, and that really, really excited me. I saw Mr. Brainwash interview Banksy, and then Banksy turned the camera and Mr. Brainwash became a thing. And I thought, well, if Mr. Brainwash can become a thing, maybe I can become a thing. If I could set my mind to creating something arty, that would be fun. And a great experiment for me to be creative in a different vehicle, a different venue. And I loved it. Then I met Ed, and he is so creative, it's unbelievable. And I love his brain. I trust him implicitly as a person. And we started to work together. I brought my skills, he brought his skills, and we combined them. And now we're in an art band.
An art band, it's good. That sounds good, doesn't it?
The Chip Shop Boys.
The artist that got me into art was Richard Wilson at the Saatchi Gallery on Boundary Road in 1987, where he did this installation of an oil slick, and it blew my mind, and I'll never forget it. I can see myself standing in the middle of it still. I was taken there by my art teacher and realised that anything was possible in art. I didn't realise that you could install a room full of oil and it become a piece of art.
I guess my interest in art started from album covers. I didn't realise that they were art at the time. I was just intrigued with the images that were in front of me. So I used to collect these electro street sound albums, but they were just graphics, and it would just have a number one, and then it'd say electro, and there'd be some shapes on it, but I'd just stare at it forever. And then Beastie Boys' album License to Ill with the plane going into wherever it was crashing into, and then Appetite for Destruction by Guns N' Roses, and Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. There's the Peter Blake design. So I guess my first love for art was once again through music, and that was fashioned by album covers. And Tony Hart did a good job, and I'm not joking, at making art accessible to the masses and making you believe that you could also join in and do it. Morph helped too.
So we're inspired by lots of things. Music is a really important thing for both of us. Obviously, it's very important for Rob. It's very important for me. We're both very passionate about early rave culture, acid house, how the whole thing started, how that scene was born.
I think it all comes from sort of niche subcultures that revolve around youth. I think because that's probably when the pair of us felt most alive and vital and full of dreams and full of hopes. And those times, because we're the same age, those times we experienced at the same time in separate places on the planet. But it was rave culture and flyers and graffiti and hip-hop and humour and naughtiness and whimsy and mischief and getting away with it. All of those good things that you feel when you just leave the bosom of the family unit and go and try and be grown-ups for the first time. So this starts with what I'm terming the gentle slight, which is a very gentle brush of the first layer, very gentle and light.
Because we layer the process, so we paint white, then we paint black, then we go light, then we go heavy with the paint, and then just very light brush strokes with the paint. Those paintings can almost not finish. They could go on for days and weeks, can't they? And I think, you know, like you just said, you know, that trust and that, you know, that relationship we've got is really important. You know, to be able to trust someone to do a joint painting with you is quite intense. It's quite a sort of intense relationship when you trust someone to paint over or a part of your painting.
I'm just going to cock it up if that's more shit. So I just want to put some... No, I really can't. I just want to put some black in it so then I can go over it again. I think the first thing that genuinely excites me was and is the fun. And that first time that you came out to Los Angeles and we went into my garage and we got all the paints out and the ketchup-y bottles and started to squirt and spray. God, that sounds bad, doesn't it? But
no, we had loads of fun.
We had loads of fun, and I think the fun kind of dictates the energy and dictates the feeling, and makes it addictive too. So this is amazing, and I want to do more of this. Creating art makes me feel like elevated meditation. And it's a hack into meditation where you know, if you were going to sit down and go, hey, let's meditate, my brain would go, hey, yeah, that's not happening, and well done for having to go for 3 minutes, but it's just not happening. If I can focus my attention into creativity, it quiets the brain, and you get to spend a whole day at some sort of peace. And so for me, creating art is peace.
Like yesterday or the day before, where we were just listening to that amazing playlist, and suddenly all those brushstrokes make sense, and it's just like this elated moment.
You know, the awful thing that happened with the pandemic meant that it was pushed back, but I also think it would be a very different looking exhibition had the pandemic not happened.
Basically, we were suddenly painting together, and then suddenly we couldn't be together, so we had to work out this remote way of working, which involved phone calls and video calls, and me going, do I do this, and what shall I do, and you going, and us communicating. It developed a kind of rapport across the Atlantic Ocean, right?
And the reason why we're doing an exhibition now is because it's time.
Yeah.